In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Assalamu alaikum. That means peace be unto you. Welcome to Liberated Sisters. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, I'm back. Wow. It seems like forever that I have not done a podcast. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad, founder, host of Liberated Sisters. We began on the Pacifica Network at 90.7 FM KPFK, kpfk.org. I'd been there almost 20 years, really over, and recently left to just focus on my own podcast and also to flow power to studios like Sister Felicia, the Poetess Morris, and Morris Media Studios, and others of us, Closing the Gap Broadcast Network also. And then Ramadan came, and I took a little break from social media and a lot of things. And wow, as I posted earlier, it seems like I'd been off for a lifetime and missed so much. So as we begin our presentation today, I pray that you all are well, that all of your loved ones are well, that in this great and trying time of war, time of strife, that we can find silver linings and also settle on the best part. We've lost a lot of loved ones. If we could settle on what they meant to us, what they gave to us, what we shared with them, and just really lift up as much as we can and be kind and loving. We'll get through this. We'll get through this. So we're alive to see another day, to breathe another day, to do more of the work that we're doing, which I pray is good work. And Liberated Sisters is back on the air. And so we'll be broadcasting on Closing the Gap Broadcast Network on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when we do broadcast from Morris Media Studios, I'll be sure to make you all aware of that ahead of time. She's a very good sister. She has her own business. She and her father built it, and they're right here in Los Angeles in the Leimert Park, Crenshaw district. Well, for our show today, and please spread the word. It's been, again, a mighty long time, and but I had to go. Had to do it. And this has been a beautiful Ramadan. And so for those who would like to share with us just your experience for Ramadan, let us know, and we'll do a show about that. But today we're going to talk about what's happening in news and views, and have my headsets. You may see me put these on soon if it starts to get loud. But the respect and protection of Black women and girls is so crucial. Like, we are the most disrespected and unprotected. And what has been happening is bearing out that way. And if you can hear, let me know. And also, please engage in the chat. I'll be learning soon how to take phone calls about from you for your participation in the show. But for right now, we will do that through the chat with your comments. We'll do a roundup from the Final Call National section real quickly, and then I want to highlight two stories. One is about an 11-year-old girl who is scheduled to be sentenced in Iberia, Louisiana, on murder charges that had been dropped to accessory after the fact that's dropped, and now it's obstruction of justice charges. We'll get more into that. And also something coming out of Chicago, just deplorable conditions in a juvenile justice system. It's just really, really atrocious, and that's regarding some of our young men. So, right now, if you got a Final Call newspaper, if you don't, you can go to finalcall.com, and if you got the digital edition, you can really go there with us. But let me pull up the Final Call, and we can get right into just the national roundup. And if you're not getting your news there, I really am not sure you're getting the truth. Um, Please add it to your list because it is the voice of truth, and it is also world, international, national news affecting us. The original man, that's black, brown, red, yellow, and even poor white. You know, what's happening in politics, what's happening in the various communities across the country. So, our cover story right now by Brian E. Muhammad, our staff writer, is "The War in Palestine is Nothing Less Than Genocide." Brother Brian, big applause to you. You know, you have been really on this issue and doing a very good job about it. And so that's the cover story for this week. You know, you can see some of the brothers around grave sites, you know, a young man sitting there in contemplation. We don't know what's on his mind, but again, the cover story for this Final Call issue, "The War in Palestine is Nothing Less Than Genocide." We go on to midsection where there's a graph that highlights the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam's war, the lawsuit, pardon me, versus the Anti-Defamation League and the Simon Wiesenthal Center. And we see that that lawsuit had been dismissed by a judge in New York, and also on the same day that the $4.8 billion lawsuit was dismissed, there was a 4.8 Richter scale earthquake. How the U.S. government destabilized foreign governments. This is the center article by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And by the way, the Final Call Radio is right now hosting its Final Call Radiothon, and we're asking you if you could donate. And this is the 3rd year anniversary where you can get the Final Call Radio, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's messages, and some of his great violin playing right there at Final Call Radio. And this 3rd anniversary, the 3rd year, is July 4th, 2023. Moving on to some more stories in the Final Call. Celebration and service. This is where Muslims across the country, world, we observed and celebrated the conclusion of Ramadan, which is the Islamic holy month of fasting, service, and spiritual renewal, and by feeding thousands upon thousands of people who are not as fortunate to have a meal. And so there is coverage of that going on into New York City, and navigating America's migrant crisis. Nayabe Arinde talks about the entire city and how that has been dropped on them, and everyone there is not able to work. Black youth, in another article, marked for death by the U.S. government. This is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking about what has happened, what has been happening with us, and how it correlates to in the time of Moses, where Pharaoh saw the children of Israel multiplying and said out of the scriptures, right? "Come, let us deal wisely with them." And so these are some of the articles that are just really mind boggling. And of course, we have in our U.S. depopulation section significant increases in cancer mortality after COVID mRNA vaccination. This is according to research by Japanese um, brothers and sisters. And so I want to get into some of the articles, running the boards and doing all of this. So I want to comment with you. But for right now, we just have the Welcome to Liberated Sisters on Closing the Gap Network there. Closing the Gap, Student Minister James Muhammad, Sister Starla Muhammad, and Brother Student Minister Chad Muhammad. These are the hosts and producers of our mother show, which is heard on Saturdays at 4 p.m. We ask you to continue to support Closing the Gap, tuning to the Saturday and other broadcasts on the network. And by all means, please donate so that we can keep the network going. I will post soon the information on how you can do that. Thanks for being with us here on Liberated Sisters. We're going to go 1 hour tonight. I plan to end at 6. And so, any comments you have about what we're about to share, please let's dialogue about this and spread the word. Finalcall.com. So, here we go. In the my part one of this issue, Let Her Come Home, it talks about an 11-year-old Black girl in Iberia, Louisiana. This is in the South. It's really sad because it's not just happening to us there, but this case is really explosive. And part of why it is said that is because we don't really have the motive yet. I'm going to put in headsets. I don't know if you can hear it, but there is work going on outside. We don't know. We don't have the information about, well, I don't really need this. We don't have the information about why it is said that she did what she did. So I'll start reading to you. Again, in 11-year-old Black girl's family, friends, and supporters expected her to be released from the Lafayette Juvenile Detention Center. Pardon me, I'm getting all of this correct. Let me know if you can hear me okay. But family and friends, supporters expected her to be released on April 16th. It was a highly anticipated court hearing, but to their dismay, this little 11-year-old Black girl remains captive on charges that they insist are questionable. Now, on March 14th, she had first-degree murder and accessory to murder charges against her in the death of a 36-year-old Cameron Betso, reduced to obstruction of justice charges. It is said repeatedly that he is white. Um, the allegation was made to the final call last time we were there that he may be half Black, half white. At any case, this 36-year-old was killed. And in open court, the 11-year-old pleaded guilty in March, and which people are outraged about that. Like, how could she understand the charges against her? How could she make a plea? But at any rate, that is what occurred. And she has agreed to testify against her 15-year-old brother, who has also been charged with first-degree murder. And he is incarcerated down in Jackson Parish Juvenile Detention Center. The deceased body was found on November 14, 2023. Again, this is Let Her Come Home. So Let Her Come Home, part one, you should be able to pull up at finalcall.com. I'm reading from the most latest version, which is in our digital edition. I'm not yet sure that that is on our site. So in a matter of, I was down there. I went home because I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Opelousas, which is just about half an hour, if not less, maybe 15 minutes from there. Um, we grew up playing New Iberia, and all the different sports that I was in. But in a matter of just 3 minutes, the judge, who is Black, his name is Roger Hamilton Jr., he opened and adjourned the court just that quick. And people were like, what is happening? Before people in the courtroom, which was packed, could really get a sense of what was happening, the hearing was over. So the holdup, according to what happened in court, was that the Office of Juvenile Justice was supposed to have a risk and needs assessment report completed, because that was going to be the basis for recommendation on her sentencing. So that is called a predisposition investigation and report. It wasn't ready, and the agents there said that they were told the judge that they were working on getting a foster care home for the child. And so immediately people, had outbursts in court, very disappointed. Some people were saying, "You've got to be kidding me." And it just went throughout. So one activist there, and shout out to the activists. There's about a group of 7 or more organizations, but people have been showing up and organizing for her fight for release. But someone said outright, as soon as the judge adjourned the court, that if this was a white child, they would have let her come home. And this person stood up and walked out toward the exit. And so the little girl, just a little Black girl, she appeared in a green jumpsuit. She had on a white T-shirt. She had her hair in Afro puffs, which is interesting because someone, a loved one and a supporter, had on a T-shirt with a little girl in pink and white with Afro puffs and ribbons. And I was like, wow. That was just certain little unique things that really tell you this is a human being here, Also the deceased, something happened. He was shot. What happened? From the very beginning that I started covering this case, there was nothing at all that indicated motive. Not even a line that said police are unsure what the motive. Police are checking out the motive. It was just pretty much murder charge. She's 11. She's been in jail over 100 days. And resoundingly to this day, why is the question. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Harl. Thanks for tuning in. Please spread the word. We're getting our wings back. We're here in effort to keep you informed of what's happening. So, also in the courtroom was her mother. She was dressed in orange. I didn't realize that at first. While people were having a pre-hearing press conference, I went upstairs to see, check out the scene. It's my first time there at that courthouse. And so I just ended up staying inside. The brothers who were there with me and I didn't realize who this person was. I thought they were bringing someone else in for a hearing right before hers, but it turned out to be her mother. And Sabrina Washington. She was arrested on December 5th along with her son. Her charges, as she is being held in Iberia Parish Jail on $400,000, is 2 counts of accessory after the fact. So the child was very interested from the outset. She kept looking back over her right shoulder. We were sitting to her right and some other supporters, and there were more than 40 in the courtroom. She was very interested. She appeared very different than was said the first time. She was really crying because she thought she'd be going home the first time. This time she just was really interested, really engaged. She appeared, you know, okay. She didn't appear to be sad, but how does that appear, right? One activist alleged that she had spoken to her and that the little girl was broken. I don't have any facts of that. We did not chase that, if you will, in terms of investigating. I just stuck to the courtroom scene and some more information we could get down there. But some of the supporters that were there included a small Nation of Islam delegation, student minister Abdul Rashid Muhammad, his son Rashad Ali Muhammad, several other brothers were there from Muhammad Muslim of 65 in Baton Rouge. Thank you so much, Nation of Islam, FOI Muhammad Mas, for supporting and being there. This is a quote from student minister Abdul Rashid. He says, Black people represent 1/3 of the population in the state of Louisiana, but the majority of those who are incarcerated in the largest prison in America are predominantly Black people. What's that largest prison? People say California has the largest prison system. Well, Angola State Prison is the largest prison there. And I've been to Angola, and I've seen just a glimpse as a young girl of what our people go through there, and it's not pretty. But student minister Abdul Rashid Muhammad says that is what this case is about. Locking up as many of us as they can, starting from the babies up to the oldest adults. It seems they want to tear down our young sister's spirit and break the spirit of her backers. As we continue, let me see. I'm giving, okay, we don't have any questions in the chat, but please feel free to put your questions or comments there. Walaikum salam, Sister Tawan and Brother Harl. Thank you for being with us. So here's a quote that he continues. It is our time to rise as a people and get behind the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's the only truth that's going to set us free and keep us out of this prison industrial complex. So adds student minister Abdul Rashid Muhammad. Now, there were almost a dozen plainclothes deputies scattered throughout the public seating area and the hallway. Several of the deceased, Mr. Betso's family members and a court liaison, they sat on the front rows, blocked by a blue velvet rope, if you will. Immediately after the adjournment, I would like to have spoken to them, but they were escorted out right after the judge hit that gavel. The girl's father and her attorney, Ron Haley, they sat with her a moment and they spoke with her briefly. Some of the advocates, like, this is where it started getting heated. It was already tense in the court, but some of the advocates and loved ones began shouting messages to her as she was being escorted toward the rear exit. She couldn't go out right away because her mother was being taken out. I didn't get a glimpse of her mother during the proceeding because I was really fixated on the little sister and the judge and the attorneys. I was reading lips. I was getting it all down. Reading. We were not able to take not a single phone in there. It wasn't even in Los Angeles. You can take your phone into the courtroom, depending on how high profile it is. You know, for the case of Nipsey Hussle, Ermias Askedom's killer, that court we couldn't take the phones in. The deputies sealed them right up. But this one you couldn't take your phones in at all. So I really had to focus and really had to pay attention, and thank Allah I was able to. So right after they started telling her, keep your head up. They were saying her name, which we of course are not printing. She's an 11-year old. Keep your head up. It's not happening today, but you're coming home. Don't let these people break you. You good. And she was nodding. She was nodding very affirmatively. And some people waved to her, and she was just so adorable. She just waved back. You know, we really want to know what happened to her. So much so that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sent a representative there, and we'll talk more about what this person found and his thoughts on that later in uh, the broadcast. But some family members, her grandmother and others, look, they live 2 hours away. They didn't even make it in time. The attorney was about 10 minutes late. So there was a short recess that bothered some people, but the attorney who was taking the case pro bono, attorney Ron Haley, once he got there, the judge opened it up. It was over just like that. Let's see, we have a question or comment. Brother Harl says, Assalamu alaikum. They built a multi-million-dollar youth detention center in Memphis. Oh my God. They will not let visitors or parents see them. They can't go outside. I will get more information to you later. Yes, please let Final Call contributor Sister Donna Muhammad, who is right there in Memphis, know. Send that information, Brother Harl, to Final Call Submissions at gmail.com. And yes, the new enslavement of our youth. It's, we had been taught and told we haven't seen anything yet. So thank you for sharing that, Brother Hall. That's horrible. Uh, some family members, again, they lived 2 hours away. They came in, it was all over, but they were able to get a glimpse of her. Her grandmother was just very distraught, very disappointed, very upset. Her grandmother's sister, uh, her grandmother's name is Sandra Washington. Her sister Terry, she just carried her mouth. She kept looking at the baby. She was shaking so much and crying. But there was a sister who was there who was also saying, "Stop all that crying. We're going to get her home. She's strong. This isn't right." And the sister was very vocal the entire time until we left the court. Even when they were outside, she had an exchange with the attorney, who, by the way, could not really say anything except for what he was told in court because there is a gag order on the court. Everyone's interested in terms of people down there looking at it, activists, social justice activists, criminal justice activists, journalists. I heard about this case from Brother Nabab Muhammad, who was our Final Call editor-in-chief, his co-host on Straight Words on WBON, BJ Murphy, as well as Brother James G. Muhammad, who is our Final Call contributing editor. We're watching this. So to put a gag on it early on and still not really indicating motive says a lot. It speaks to a lot of what the activists are alleging and insisting that there's a cover up and that she should have been gone. Like she could have, under the judge's discretion, been released. But they feel that the whole family has been criminalized because it is being said that he doesn't want to release her to the same environment. And so I'll get down to where her sister is saying, "Hey, look, her sister is a police officer." There are people who love her in our family that can take her. But one thing we do see, I've observed as a reporter, just generally in child welfare, even with foster care, and student minister Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad has pointed this out over decades. People who pretend to take care of children will take a child, sometimes for no good reason, out of a family's home and put them into a white or other foster care family's home, give them tons of money to support them and resources, but not a loved one, not a loved one. And loved ones may be caring for some of the children for free. We were told for the Million Man March, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, go back and get our children out of these agencies. We're seeing the effect of this now. That the Office of Juvenile Justice is saying that they don't have their stuff ready yet, that they're still looking for foster care, really infuriated the activists, some of them, as well as the family. So the sister comes in and it's like, what happened? It's over? Like, you all are not releasing her? It was really something sad to see. There are images in the final call of them on the courthouse steps. Let's see if any of you all are saying anything. Sister Tawan has a comment. Um, this is an 11-year-old little girl. Why, when initial charges were dropped, she was not released? Thank Allah for straight words and final call, keeping us informed. Yes, indeed. All praise is due to Allah. We had talked about it on another broadcast recently, how there's a sister, may God be pleased with her and comfort her family. She was shot by an 80, this is an Uber driver. She was shot by an 81-year-old white guy. He's out. He's out on bail. You know, she could have been released, but we'll be hopefully having some legal experts talk about what the actual um, process could have been and what that would have looked like for her. But people are insisting race is involved, and also just the area where this is happening is a problem, that it's nothing new. So the grandmother, the sister, is giving her concerns, and she's pointing out that, um, oh, well, first of all, before we get to the sister, a protest started right in court. Right in court. As the news made it toward the back of the pews, because I was like this, like, what? But I was looking and I was getting it. So my whats were like, are you what? Really? The and she's not coming home. That's the first thing I said. She's not going home. But as it trickled down to the back and to the other people in the court, they started protesting. Whose house? Our house. Whose house? Our house. They were chanting, shut it down. And they repeatedly chanted, no justice, no peace. And so she was interested. She was by then in the back. She sat up, she leaned over, and she looked, and she had a smile. So that she still didn't come home is something that they are still working on. Her attorney did say to the sister outside that, look, he could only regurgitate what the judge said in court. He couldn't make any statements. He said that wasn't his role, but he did say that the process that the Office of Juvenile Justice is working on has to go right. It can't be one and done. It can't be rushed, because she has to have all of the facets looked at. People have been saying, look, she's been in there over 140 days. She can't come out. She's incarcerated. Anyone else they would have let come home. So this is activist Devon Norman. He's with the Village 337. They are a young collective of leaders based in Lafayette, Louisiana. Every time I say these words, it just mind boggles me, being from that area. But he said, it seems to me that something was set up prior to us coming here today. And it seems to me that they were all in cahoots, Bernie Mac, in cahoots, because when we sat down, everything happened so quickly. He said they were missing the attorney. Yeah, judge called a recess. People didn't understand, but he couldn't move forward. I thought it was going to be zipped that day, right then, but it took place a few minutes later. He said the attorney got there, they sit down, and everything is over. That means that everybody was on the same page. Perhaps, we heard, this is his quote, Devon Norman, we heard the last time that when we'd come to court today, the child would get a sentence and we'll be leaving here with the child. Yet we're leaving here the same way we came, empty-handed. Before he could even say that, people in unison said, no child, right? The child going back to detention center, this is his quote. He asked, what is going down in Louisiana? And then one thing that really upset many of the activists and family was that they perceived that the deceased family, Mr. Bedsoe's family, was being guarded, as if some of them wanted to harm them. I've seen in court many times, however, where the family is just pretty much made assured that they would have some place to sit. They wouldn't be mixed into the crowd. I will tell you, in a case where that is, I'm not saying that that wasn't the case here, and I'm certainly not talking about yay or nay to their perception, but I'm going to tell you one place where I was infuriated, and that was the case of Oscar Grant III. I mean, literally, Miss Wanda Johnson and Cephas' uncle Bobby Johnson, as well as some activists, were not allowed in court. And activists are too tossed out of court. Miss Johnson and her brother not allowed in for being late. In the victim impact statement, Uncle Bobby, who is now Cephas' Uncle Johnson, Uncle Bobby X, Cephas X Johnson, admonished. Forget during his victim impact statement, they were treated horribly. And yes, the family of Johannes Meserly was protected and was guarded and given special treatment in that courtroom. I saw it, my own eyes, I experienced it. So here's some comments as we go on, and I want to make sure to get to the article by Brother James G. Muhammad, Dame Dash, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., and others taking to task Chicago for this deplorable condition our young brothers are under in the center there. But let's see. Tawan, sorry, this is Sister Tawan, the 81-year-old charged with murder of Lolita Hall. That's right, that's her name. This sister is 61, trying to earn a living. Yeah, he has been released. He's not in custody and is still charged. The thing that's happening with him is, according to reports with them, they were both allegedly scammed. Uber has a service where you can pick up a package, drop off a package. Someone sent them similar text. A package is coming and she's going to get the package. It has been reported that allegedly he had been scammed before. Some have said that, oh, they're giving up the get off right away. So at least you get that, because sometimes you don't get anything. It's just he's out. By the way, have you seen that a New York court has overturned Harvey Weinstein's sex charge? Anyway, let me get back over here. We're talking about overturning and injustice. Let me just get over here and not go into that. But at any rate, so back to the story. So Mr. Norman, the activist, says, my contention today is that we came here expecting a system to do its job, and once again, it failed us. When we left the court, we let it be known we're not worried about decorum and we're not worried about dignity, because if there will be no justice, we won't get no peace. He said it, he meant it, I felt it. So the attorney Haley, again, he told the final call, it's not about taking the right shot, not the quick. No, he said it's about taking the right shot, not the quick shot. This is not something that could get rushed. This is about putting the best position possible going forward. So it's really sad. She's 11. She's a tiny little girl. Her family's worried about her mental state. She's never been in jail before. She's never been in trouble. She has no charges like this. She or her brother, according to them, according to reports. Why? Why? What is the motive? What would put her in proximity to 36-year-old Mr. Bedsoe? So here is commentary from two activists, Elaine Provost and Omari Hoshang. I was so honored to meet these sisters. They drove all the way from Shreveport, 3.5 hours, all streets, all people. ASAP is their organization. And what they do is they strive to help people harness their power to create systems change. Miss Provost, what we've seen today is that there are multiple agencies that are working together to make sure that this young lady stays incarcerated. So it's very important that we continue to put pressure. This, I think I said Miss Provost, but this probably is a quote attributed to Miss Hoshang. Pardon me. So they've had 140 days to complete an investigative report. That's the Office of Juvenile Justice. We must address that, she said. In addition, the organization wants to highlight those complicit in the girls' months-long incarceration. Now, this is Miss Provost. Miss Provost. She says the justice system is strictly about saving another race of people and incarcerating and putting in bondage our people. She said, continue to press on. She knows that the family seems to be very upset. She said, I would be too, because this system, we have all had a family member in it, and we know that they can do continuance after continuance. And to me, they are trying to insult us all. I'm telling you, the activists are real tight and real organized, and they're on code. They're on message. So far, there's not been evidence of any backroom dealings. I've seen it over 20 years plus. The establishment pulls one back here, give them a couple of crumbs in the biscuit, pulls another one, promises them a little contract, pulls another one, puts them up at the press conference, and they get to be near Pharaoh. Not here. I mean, I've literally walked into the police commission hearings in LAPD, and you have a coalition, you know, of Black Lives Matter, um, different organizations, many different organizations fighting. Some that have been there way long before Black Lives Matter, some that started after Black Lives Matter, a coalition of organizations, black, brown, red, yellow, white, calling for justice. And we'll uh walk to go talk to the police media arm and see a couple of Negroes in the back room meeting with them. And it's like, oh boy. And then everything just trickles down from there, and no justice is gotten. But at any rate, let me not digress. I want to make sure to get to the Chicago piece. Here's our student minister, Willie Muhammad of New Orleans, Louisiana, Mosque number 46. Hold on, sister. That's right, Sister Tawan. Brother Hall says separation is the best and only solution. Absolutely. Tawan says we should all be outraged about this 11-year-old girl. She is my family. Look, we cannot wait until it hits our home. You can't wait until it's my grandbaby or my 11-year-old niece or yours. Why not get involved now? Do something. Share the article. Spread the word. Let people know that this is happening to her. The truth, one thing about it, will come out. He was shot. He was killed. The family deserves justice. The people who are on trial. So it is. It was a trial, but not anymore. But those who are accused of this, what is the truth? How do you get justice for anybody if you conceal the truth? You start from the outset and you clamp it down, right? Um, More questions and answers. This is student minister Willie Muhammad speaking to us. We got the affidavit. The final call went to the court, got some of the court records. So in the affidavit, we got the arrest warrant, the affidavit for the arrest warrant for the mother. Of course, we couldn't get anything because they're minors, so theirs is sealed. And so now, Student Minister Willie points out that there are more questions since reading this report. One thing he said, and here's a quote: "What I have not heard discussed in the media and even in the detective's report is something of great importance, which is motive, the why. The revelation of the motive could really change the view that people have regarding this case. Thus far, it is not known by the public." Again, Student Minister Willie Muhammad of Mosque number 46 in New Orleans. Assalamu alaikum, y'all. That's my family down there, Mosque 46. There is, by the way, student MGT Captain Mishan Sadiq is in an article recently in the Final Call newspaper talking about the challenges with Black women. There is a gag order on the participating attorneys, continuing Student Minister Willie Muhammad's quote. The trial will help to bring more facts to the view of the public and answer some of the lingering questions that exist. From, I want to get it right, he says, from our visit there, I can say that there are community activists, and there are, who are paying great attention to this case and doing their best to prevent this young girl from being railroaded. I think I can take Okay, let me know. I'm sorry, Sister Deborah. Can you hear me now? Because I took my. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you? I'm on mute. Tawan, can you hear me? I unmuted when I. Okay, Akila. When I took my. Okay, thank Allah. Calm down, Charlie. When I took my headsets off, you know, I apologize. So what I was saying was, and thank you all. Thank you for tuning in and engaging with me. I feel so good. It's been so long. So, I'm sensitive. Um, So I was saying that with a gag order in 27 years, thank Allah, reporting for the Final Call newspaper, starting right here at Mosque number 27, I'd not seen that. Not that it doesn't exist, but I've not seen a gag order that broad, or even that early. So at any rate, continuing with Student Minister Abdul Wali Muhammad, he says, quote, in an ideal world, free from police corruption and the unfair arrest of Black and brown people, the words of a law enforcement agency officer would be accepted as the truth and not questioned. Well, we know we do not live in such a utopian society, and even the words of a law enforcement officer must be examined to determine if they are factual. Now, something in the warrant report raised questions for him. He said, for example, quote, the deceased was found shortly. Now, check this out, okay? This is a police narrative. The deceased was found by his girlfriend on November 13th, shortly after 1 p.m. However, the law enforcement officer said he participated in a call with the mother of the 15-year-old and her son, the accused, right? On November 12th at midnight. If the deceased was found dead on November 13th around 1 p.m., then how could the call with the mother, son, and the detective take place? It could be a simple mishap, but this is one example of why even police reports must be examined as well, especially police reports. Student Minister Willie, thank you for that. He continues, quote, we are asked to travel to New Liberia by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to hear what was being said on the ground by those either directly involved in the case and or who were advocating on the behalf of the family. The minister, with all that he deals with personally and within his mission, was concerned about the young sister whom he has never met, who resides in a small city in Louisiana. He wanted to get more information about this situation. End quote. Thank you so much, Minister Farrakhan. Thank you so much, because it's a small city in Louisiana, and but for nothing else, she could be buried, and no one ever knows. And we happen to know about this little baby, but what about all the others? Student Minister Willie Muhammad says the delay is unfortunate, and he's explaining that everyone must do their job. But from his experience, he said working with those in the field of juvenile justice, they are often overwhelmed and underpaid. Thus, preparations suffer, and youth like the 11-year-old are impacted indeed. So now prosecutors have said that they would be seeking 7 years in jail, right? Some of the advocates are praying that she's released and that she receives probation with no jail time. They want her to get credit for time served. Um, Here's a concluding quote by Student Minister Willie. Any family who has lost a loved one naturally wants justice and deserves such. True justice, so teaches the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, must be based upon truth. But if the accused are railroaded in the process, that is not true justice. Even those accused and arrested have rights. As of now, we cannot say we know what the full truth is. And we're looking for it. We want to hunt for it. We want it. I want it. That little girl could be my cousin. Iberia is right around the corner. Um, Thank you all for your comments. Yes, Allahu Akbar, Brother Chad. Yes, now, Sister Tawan. Yes, Sister Deborah, Brother Harl. I mean, it doesn't end there. So her sentencing is supposed to be on May 8th. If the report is not ready, guess what? It won't happen. And she may not go home. Who says she will go home on the 8th? That's another thing that I haven't even considered. If they're saying that they can't find any place for her, who will step up? who will step up. Before we start to head out, I want to point out this case and really get your comments on this. Written by Brother James G. Muhammad, Final Call contributing editor. It's at finalcall.com. Modern day medieval torture. When I heard them speak about this on Straight Words the other night, I really couldn't believe it. I really just could not believe it. And what I'm talking about is the way that businessman and entrepreneur Damon Dash, as well as Chairman Fred Hampton and others, have put the spotlight on harsh conditions inside the Illinois Youth Center in Chicago. Now, let me see somebody saying something. We will be watching. Yes, May 8th. Sister Twan, everybody in earshot, spread the word. Let's find out. It's going to come out in the wash, you know. Her attorneys, the 11-year-old attorney, had said that they felt early on that she was held as bait because it wasn't believed that she could have done this, but that she was being held for her 15-year-old brother who was believed to have done it. So we're saying, why was a 15-year-old with the man, you know? What's going on? So at any rate, yeah, May 8th is the date. And so back to Chicago, here's the lead. Several dozen community activists and a state legislator protested April 12 outside the Illinois Youth Center in Chicago for boys. See, they got you coming and they go. They got our baby girls and our baby boys. Oh, after they got the men, they got the women. And then after us, what's next? Our pets, our cats and dogs is coming next. And I'm not being facetious. I'm saying that they just want us to die. Our lineage just go away. But this generation is made for the Messiah, the one who opens our eyes, helps us to see, speak, hear, and turns our hearts back to the Father. And they're fearless. I'm telling you, that little baby might have left the other hearing in March crying, and I can get that. But that's not what I saw with my own eyes. I saw her ready. She's a fighter, but she needs our prayers. She's a fighter. So, okay, here we go. So they're alleging, the activists, Damon Dash and others, the entrepreneur activists, they're alleging deplorable, life-threatening conditions and subjecting youth offenders to extreme mental stress. The facility houses juveniles. Tell me what y'all think about this, okay? The facility houses juveniles under court-ordered sentences. Now, in Los Angeles, judges, not even just Los Angeles, it's happened across the country, but in Los Angeles, judges have sentenced juveniles to facilities and houses that they have money interest in. That's horrible. So at any rate, the facility houses juveniles under court-ordered sentences. According to IYC, Illinois Youth Center, Chicago. Yeah. Principal Michael McGrone, 135 inmates are housed there. Hip-hop mogul entrepreneur Damon Dash joined McGrone at the rally. Go ahead, Brother McGrone. He's said to be a whistleblower who needs protection. Well, get him whistleblower protection. There are little protections. You come under a category with that, where your job can't be touched, your money can't be touched, your livelihood and your life should be protected. If he's a whistleblower, get him that protection. Complaints included bathrooms and showers covered in mold, a warehouse facility with few windows, leaving some youth to be confined for, listen, over a year without access to outdoors and green spaces and physical abuse. That's beyond solitary confinement. Look, what did we learn during the era of COVID? Depopulation section, vitamin D, how, as Sister Dr. Sophia Shabazz told us recently at Savior's Day, and also go to her pages, her social media pages. We get billions, as she's reiterating from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, billions of vitamins from the sun. How it hits our melanin and does miraculous things for our entire system. Over a year without sun? Is the punishment fitting the crime? Let me see. Horrible conditions, Brother Chad. Horrible. Yeah, they said the mold was very visible. Okay, so Dame Dash, Mr. Dash said this is modern day medieval torture. Some of these kids, children, haven't been outside in over a year. These kids are traumatized. I just need to know why. Mr. Dash was walked through the facility several times, once with State Senator Lakeisha Collins, who attended the rally. Staff refused them entry on this day. By the way, you can hear her on Straight Words. I think the broadcast may be on SoundCloud, iHeart, Straight Words at WVON. The brothers covered this in depth. I cried hearing it. I was on the show in Baton Rouge talking about the 11-year-old girl. I was like, couldn't even believe what I was hearing them say about these little boys. These are children, by the way. Remember, they're somebody's children. Is the punishment fitting the crime? So Senator Collins said she was appalled by the conditions of the facility and the mental anguish. Wow. That she witnessed from some of the inmates. She said, you have kids in there pleading. I'm just going to say children, even though they're saying kids, okay? You have children in there pleading just to get outside and get some sun and air. A lot of them have bags under their eyes. We saw exposed wires. We saw mold and heard stories about rodents. It's inhumane. I just kept saying, have they found another facility? Have you found another facility? What is the red tape on this? Yeah, straightwords.com if you want to hear them. Principal McGrone recounted stories of a child having braids pulled out of his head by guards. He said, I thought he had ringworms. The guards also beat a youth using handcuffs and brass knuckles. Punks. See? Straight wuss. Because these are children that you have captive. They can't, how can they fight you back? You have the gun, you got the badge, you got the system. But you also, and I don't wish this on your loved ones, but you also have children. You have nieces, you have nephews. You can't picture them in these people. This is why they're saying that, people in society call inmates, savage, heartless, cruel. You can't be over them and not be the same way. Why not be humane? Why you want to beat these children? The principal, Mr. McGrone, said the state pays $1 million annually to rent the decrepit facility. $1 million, y'all. There's a $147 million budget, and it is one of the lowest in the state. The principal has complained that inmates are given drugs. Now, they're given drugs by physicians who have only seen their patients via Zoom. He expressed concerns that some are taking sedatives while also taking psychotropic medications. And while one worker has been suspended, Mr. McGrone knows he could be targeted as a whistleblower. They need to protect him as a whistleblower. I can assure you there will be some repercussions for me, but I won't allow our children to be abused, pillaged on my watch. Everybody that came through this building left in tears. I get it, but sometimes I feel like cry me a river. Even when I'm talking to myself, even as I was weeping with the 11-year-old case and other cases, I'm like, okay, what you gonna do? You gonna cry, cry, cry? Get up and do something. I'm talking to myself. Sister Tawan says, remember they housed youth in Louisiana in a condemned prison where adults were removed. They were housed in Angola prison and the temperature was 103 degrees. Yep, they don't care. So activists are demanding an oversight committee composed of community-based groups and not-for-profit organizations be formed to have input in monitoring conditions at the facility. I say, like the brothers and sisters in Louisiana, my opinion, shut it down. Oversee what? Find another facility, shut that facility down. It reminds me of the Black Site group that Brother Ashad, when he was Ashad Muhammad, when he was our assistant manager and others reported on, in Chicago and other places, just these Black Site groups where all kinds of things are going on. But this is out in the open. They're quoting Illinois Governor Pritzker's spokesperson, Dominique Newman, who said the administration takes seriously the allegations. Yeah, okay. And is aggressively working to resolve the concerns. No, get one of the migrant facilities. Get another situation going. If they haven't been outside in a year, can they go outside in a year? The wrong model of incarceration is what it has been called. I'm going to run through it now. The sentencing project, there's a quote about what they say with Black youth. People want the sentencing project to do more. It was said on Straight Words when Brother Nabai, the brothers interviewed them, Brother James and Brother BJ, that the boys reported being beaten when Mr. Dash and others who came to see about them left. Yeah, of course. We got to anticipate that. If they're beaten already and now you're telling it, oh, they got them good. Sadly, they got them good. But again, you have young men in your life and you would not want them treated this way. So why would you treat somebody else's child this way? We do wrong, we should be punished, but don't exceed the limit. It needs to fit the crime. The Justice Law Center argues against solitary confinement, strip searches, shackles, and chemical sprays that are sometimes used. Incarcerated youth also face physical, sexual violence, compounding the trauma imposed by their isolation and separation from their families. I like what the senator said. One of them told her, they could take me out of my mama's house for some of these conditions, but I cannot be in here for these conditions. See, it's slavery. It's the slavery industrial complex is what I think it is. I want to try to get down before we close it out to some more. There's supposedly a bill that's focusing on Tennessee juvenile facilities. The bill allegedly was derailed due to large political contributions from the facility zone. It's a money thing. No one cares except the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, Chairman Fred, Brother Damon Dash, Senator Lakeisha, others. Otherwise, the main establishment doesn't care, But we have tons and tons and tons of money going for lots of other things that are doing us no good, We can't just focus on model children, so-called. Some people with adult cars and they're living and they're working out their life the best that they can. But we must do something about our children who are incarcerated and also help in the preventive measures before they get to incarceration. Sister Tawan says, let us have a list of places and people to call and write for these cases to encourage more of us to let them know, and we will ask that they be removed. Yes, finalcall.com, we list some of the activists and just spread the word about these stories. It's really disheartening. I pray that I have not offended any of you in what I've said. I think my cry me a river remark really could. It is offensive. But I'm cry with an agenda. Cry with a purpose. What are we going to get up and do? Let's adopt that facility and demand a change in the same vein. Thank you, Brother Hall. I pray not, because these are just my thoughts and opinions, but at the same time, I don't have a right just because I'm upset to kind of be upsetting. But after you've covered these for going on now 30 years and you see the same level of reply, I ask us any of you in earshot, what can you do about it? I know that down in Louisiana, the activists are asking, thank you, Sister Deborah. No, ma'am, nothing offensive. All praises due to Allah. They're asking people to call the Office of Juvenile Justice and say, have that report ready. Attorney Ron Haley said, he told us outside the court that he expects it may be coming in before May 8th. The sheriffs down there haven't called back. The court, this was before the gag order. So I knew that after the gag order, nothing was coming. But maybe one day we'll put that police narrative up there. It's public record. So maybe I'll put it up there so you could just see, all of the he say, she say. Well, I say, what does God say? Remember the stage play? He say, she say, but what does God say? Protect the youth. Again, if it's something that was done wrong, okay, there's a punishment according to the law, but not above and beyond. But it's straightened for whom this system pleases, and it's released and reduced for whom they please. And so we have to know that all we got is a Jesus as our friend. We call him by different names, but God is the best friend and only friend that we have, and we have divine guidance. Just continue to watch these cases. Thank you, Brother James, for your article. Thank you, Final Call newspaper, for all of the stellar reporting. You all spread the word. There are some, I'm talking about, from health, food, wellness, police, education, whatever it is, politics, genocide. It's all right there. And it is based in truth. We cannot report lies in the Final Call newspaper. So at any rate, Sister Charlene Muhammad, I appreciate you all joining me for this hour. I didn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but I don't even know if you can hear me now. Seems like it's frozen on my end, but thank you. Thank you so much. And continue to listen to Closing the Gap Network and support it. I will put that information. Well, here. My system is frozen. Hold on one second. It's frozen. Yeah. Yeah. Yikes. Frozen. So my system froze as it usually does. Thank you, Sister Tawan. Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't know if you could hear it, just stopped. But inshallah, we'll be having guests more, but I just wanted to come to highlight these stories, and please spread the word, and also finalcall.com. And if you have anything that's happening in your area that you think is something that it's impacting the original man and woman, let me know. Email us at finalcallsubmissions@gmail.com. Finalcallsubmissions@gmail.com. So I was saying I don't have the bells and whistles, but I'm just glad to be back. I pray that everyone had a blessed holy month of Ramadan, and whatever your faith tradition is, we had the three monotheistic religions that were celebrating their major holy days. And so I pray that you all, whatever it is that we aspire to in our lives of righteousness, that we realize that. So I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. I know you didn't see Big Brother Sultan Muhammad, but I'm just making my way back because we have a lot of things that we have to deal with. And so if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's do something about it. And again, thank you so much for being with us. Support Closing the Gap. That's what I was going to do. Ask you, please. I'm going to put the banner here for how you can contribute to Closing the Gap Broadcast Network. And I love being here, and I want to make sure that it subsists. And so would you please donate to Closing the Gap? You can do that via PayPal. The information is there. You can do that via Zelle, Cash App. It got you coming. Hey, whichever way that you want to give of your heart. And to everyone who heard the call of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and helped to feed our brothers and sisters across the communities worldwide, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We love you, Minister Farrakhan, and let's keep him, Mother Khadijah, their family in prayer, our Executive Council of the Nation of Islam in prayer, and each of us. I pray for you. I pray to see you next week. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, look at these. The Teachings 2.0. Please spread the word about them. Let us get these. Alrighty, I'm Sister Charlene signing off for Liberated Sisters. Oh, and here's our cover story, Final Call newspaper this week.